Hello.
I'm Kyle.
And I'm Collie.
Welcome to our channel.
We're walking along one of the paths here that they've got marked out at the cemetery. And it's just done with tree branches and whatnot. But it's a nice, easy walk. Trying to see what there is. There very well could be graves in this area that we really don't know about. Walking along and come across this sign for the free Catholic graves. Some of the miners and their families that passed away could not even afford to pay for a burial site, because at the time the graves cost $15, but those miners were only making $3 a day. That's it. And they went through a lot of turmoil to make that $3. On this sign here, they have QR codes that you can scan, and this one actually has a walking tour that we can go through and do. And that might be another time because it's fixing to downpour on us. But here's some of the locations of the free Catholic cemetery, which is right here where we're at. So right here by this sign that we were just looking at, there is actually some graves here. Of course, we're not going to walk back there to them. But this one's big enough that we can see it. This is Edwin Slavin, 1882. Here's a look at some of the different ways that they plotted off this section of the cemetery. We're probably going to come back and do more of this tomorrow because the sky is pretty angry today. Here in Evergreen Cemetery, here in Leadville, Colorado, John B. Texas Jack, I'm not even going to pronounce his last name, 1846 to 1880. He was born in Virginia. Texas Jack served as a scout to General J.E.B. Stuart's Confederate cavalry during the Civil War. He came west after the war at the age of 19 to be a cowboy, where he is in several museums. He ran with Buffalo Bill Cody. He was laid to rest here in Leadville, where he died of pneumonia on June 28th of 1880 at the age of 23. His headstone was donated by Buffalo Bill. Texas Jack was inducted into the Oklahoma City's National Cowboy Hall of Fame in 1994. He is prominently featured in the Wild Cody Museum in Cody, Wyoming as well. We're here at the Evergreen Cemetery here in Leadville, Colorado. And in this cemetery, you will find different sections of places that people were buried. The Jews were in one section, the Catholics were in another section, the Protestants were in a different section. They had a paupers section, and they had the Irish section. There was a lot of these different sections throughout. And there are some very interesting people that have been laid to rest here. One of them is Texas Jack, and he was laid to rest here. He was one of the co-founders of the Wild Buffalo Bill Wild Show. One of the things that is interesting about this cemetery is that the Irish miners were also buried here. And at the time, it cost $15 for the miners to be buried. And at the time, the miners were only making $3 a day. So a lot of them could not afford a burial. So a lot of those were put in the paupers section. There's a large number of graves here in this section that are unmarked graves, and they don't know who they were. This cemetery is the second cemetery here in Leadville, and it was formed in 1879. This is also the final resting place of John B. Texas Jack, who co-founded the Wild West show with William Buffalo Bill Cody. And there's also another person here, Marshal George O'Connor, which was Leadville's first lawman, killed in the line of duty in 1878. Marshal George O'Connor, Leadville's first lawman, killed in the line of duty in 1878. As you can see here, each section is noted as to what religious is in this area, as this here is the Jewish area. It's kind of interesting to see how these are done. There's a lot of them that have fences along, sectioning out the graves. This is an marked grave, so we don't know who lives there, but we know somebody is there. Some of these graves are primitively marked, as you can see right here. You can see that a lot of these graves are done quite differently. I know this is kind of morbid for a lot of people, but for me, it's history. Unfortunately, some of these families did not have a lot of money, so therefore they are unmarked. It's kind of interesting. You know, it makes you think, okay, what did these people have to go through? Where did they come from? What kind of life did they really lead? It's amazing to see all the different ways that they separated their plots. We have found the headstone for Texas Jack, who died June 28th of 1881. We have made it here to the grave of Texas Jack, who was the co-founder of the Wild West show with William Buffalo Bill Cody. Buffalo Bill Cody gave Texas Jack this headstone because he wanted him to be remembered, because he was very important to him. Cemeteries are not for the dead, obviously. The cemeteries are for the living. This is for our families, for our friends. It is not for everybody. Coming to these places are not for everybody. It's just the fact that there is a lot of history in these cemeteries. This is history, and it's looking at all the people who have been here before us and the struggles that some of them had to have for us to continue life. This graveyard is quite massive. It goes on for a very long time. This one is just covered with bricks. Here we are at the grave for 10 men that were killed in the Homestead avalanche. They died February 27th of 1885, but their bodies were not found until April of 1885. These poor men were crushed and had horrific deaths, but here they are honored. Each one of these graves has their initials on it, and on the back side of each grave has a hand. Not only that, but on each side of the memorial is the men's names. These 10 men aged from the age of 38 down to 21 years of age when they died. They found one of the men in the kneeling position as in prayer when they were found. About 100 people trudged through on snowshoes to where the mine is and very seriously dug these men out to find them. These men were all very hardworking men, and they died a hard death. If you want to find out more about them, you can find them at the Healy House Museum here in Leadville. And the people of Leadville are the ones that paid to have them buried and put to rest here.
Because I'm going to put it first.
We are here at the very unique mausoleum. This is John Tolfer. He served in the Spanish-American War, and he is buried here in an open-faced coffin. They have sealed it in because of vandals, and so you cannot go in and see him any longer, which is actually okay. But this is the only mausoleum like this in all of Leadville. Also, with this mausoleum, there is a red stone here that is marking his grave, so that when you're driving to the Irish Miners Memorial, you can see that this is here. I think at this point we're going to call it a day, and because we've already gone through a lot of history. If I know this is not for everybody, but if you get a chance and like to do this, go to different places. This one has a nice walking tour that gives you a lot of information, so utilize that when you're here, because there's a lot more that we haven't even looked at yet. But we're going to call it a day. Thanks for coming along with us. Please like, subscribe, and comment, and we'll see you on the next one.